thanks to everybody at CPAC, thanks to everybody across America that comes here every year for us to get refueled and rejuvenated and sent back out to fix America and save America from the leftists that are deconstructing America on a daily basis. We're not turning our back on them today. We're here to get refueled. Now, what is happening to our liberty? I looked around here as I was thinking ahead to what I might say today. And I recall that under Nancy Pelosi's speakership, they came up with this idea that they would have to make us take these curly-Q light bulbs and put them in our lamps in the Capitol. And I insisted on having light in there. And at night the janitors would come through, which were Nancy's Stasi troops, and screw out those light bulbs, those Edison bulbs, and give me every once in a while curly-Q bulbs. And so I would screw them out and send the interns out to get me some of those good Edison light bulbs. Those interns would come back sometimes empty-handed in tears because they couldn't come up with a regular Edison light bulb. And so finally I thought it was a little cruel and inhuman of me to put the interns through all of that. So I went down to Frager's hardware store, walked through there, and here was the mother load of black market light bulbs sitting on the shelf. So I grabbed a bunch of them off of there and carried them down and sat them on the counter. This is out of Steve's pocket, by the way. And now I have it made. And they said, okay, we're going to ring up these light bulbs for you. Would you like to buy a green recycle bag for $1? And I said, no. I'll pay the nickel fine for having a plastic one. And then they said, but we give you a 10% discount on your purchase if you'll buy a $1 green bag. And so I am a conservative. I did the calculation in my head. It would save me $3.40, so I got this green bag right here. And I filled it up with black market Edison light bulbs. And I brought it back to my office here in the Capitol. And whenever I need to put a light bulb in the lamp, I reach into this green bag and I screw it in there and I smile. A little bit of my liberty back. A little bit of our freedom back. And I want to challenge you to do the same thing. Bring back some of that liberty, some of that freedom. Last year I said to you that I got tired of standing in the shower for 12 minutes while the government issued water rationing, Al Gore water saver shower head, dribbled that water down on me. And I drilled it out. And now my 12-minute shower is a 3-minute shower, and I've got 9 minutes every day to beat up on the liberals. Shower head. And you know what? It isn't just the conservatives that are doing that. The liberals are drilling out shower heads too. And you've got a 1.6-gallon flush toilet. So now we are a nation of double flushers with designer plungers because the Stasi police from the regulating government have taken away another piece of our liberty and regulated nationwide that the water supply in Tucson is equivalent to the water supply in Steve King's little piece of ground where my well's 6.5 feet deep and never gone dry. I want my liberty back. I look around and I see places like, for example, California. They've banned Happy Meals unless it meets the right quota for calories and fruits and vegetables. And in San Francisco, they prohibit the disparagement of the short, the fat, the tall, and the skinny. So who's that leave? I don't know anybody that isn't one of those four things. I mean, aren't tall and short at the same time or fat and skinny at the same time, but I guess I'm short and fat is what I am, so I'm safe in San Francisco, except you probably can disparage conservatives there. And then, all of these provisions that they have. I go to the committee meetings and try to do my job here, and I walked into a small business committee meeting chaired by one of the Democrats, and they were providing educational benefits for our wounded warriors. And it's a great thing. And you set aside those educational benefits for combat wounded veterans was the language in the bill. And I read through that, and it lifts my heart to see that, but it said combat wounded veterans and women and minorities. And however you want to look at this society, combat wounded veterans need our special honor. And being a woman or a minority doesn't fit you in that category. I'm sorry. that women and minorities out of there, and I realized I would lose the vote, and so I wrote the amendment to strike the language of special provisions for women and minorities, and I replaced it with the language of anybody but white men. Because that is what it says, but it hurts them when you make them say the truth. And so make them say the truth. They cringe at that. They will say, well, yeah, what you say is the truth, but you didn't have to say it that way. Well, it isn't the saying it that way that makes it hurt, it's the truth that makes it hurt. And we need to give it to them over and over again. California banned lead in sinkers for fishing and lead in bullets for hunting because they figured out that lead can be fatal under certain circumstances. Michelle Obama is leading the effort to cut 1.5 trillion calories out of the diet of our young people because, under Bob Gates, by the way, it's a national security concern that 30% of our youth are too overweight to meet the physical requirements to join our military, and it's too costly to train them. Well, just extend basic training a while. Just say, you're here doing push-ups till you make weight. Why is that so hard? And then, with this 1.5 trillion calories they want to take out of the diets of young people to slim them down a little bit, that amounts to this. Take the 150 calorie power bar, reduce it to 90 calories, take a couple chips out of the single serving Dorito bag, and then somehow these voracious feeders aren't going to reach for a second candy bar or a second bag of Dorito chips. They're voracious feeders. So you cannot fool them by cutting calories out of the candy bar. And we have the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. He has this figured out, how to do economic development by food stamp. They've increased food stamps, by the way, 46% under this administration. Now we have 45%, excuse me. Now we have 46.3 million Americans on food stamps, by far the highest number ever. And this is economic development because for every time you hand out $1 worth of food stamps, according to the Secretary of Agriculture, you get $1.84 in economic activity. Wow. You know, what would happen if we just dumped the food out? We'd just all be rich, wouldn't we? So, and they had a witness before the Ag Committee to tell us we needed to put more food stamps out. Janet Murguia, the president of La Raza, who testified, I wrote this down, there's also mounting evidence that the overweight and obesity trends in the United States are due, in part, to high levels of food insecurity. Do you know what that means? It means people have anxiety about their future meals, so they tend to overeat today, and if we make sure they had plenty of food in front of them, they'd eat less, lose weight, and we wouldn't have this obesity problem. See what I'm up against? This is on a daily basis. And so just yesterday, the news came out at least that California has gone even further, and they banned throwing footballs down in frisbees on the beach in LA County. And it's now up to a $1,000 fine, but if you persist, it's 6 months in jail. So they'll put you out into the exercise yard, give you a football in jail, but you can't throw it on the beach in California. And if you want to dig a sandcastle, it's okay as long as the moat's not deeper than 18 inches. Yeah. Specifications for moat depth and the building sandcastles on the beaches in California. What happened to our liberty, America? How did this creep in on this? How did a nation born of freedom and liberty lose its freedom and liberty in this way? How does a nation that's blessed by an extraordinary supply of American exceptionalism submit, inch by creeping inch, to the totalitarian state that's descending upon us? How do we, a people, never been as vigorous a people in this civilization or this society, how do we submit to something like Obamacare? The worst of all. And so I want to paint this image for you. The #1 plank in the next president's platform, I believe, is and needs to remain the 100% full repeal of Obamacare. Not one I want to see the next president of the United States stand at the podium on the West Portico of the Capitol, January 20th, 2013, take that oath of office with pen in hand. So we could put the repeal up there on the podium, you know, by then. Protect and defend the Constitution of the United so help me God, don't wait to shake the hand of Chief Justice Roberts. Sign the repeal of Obamacare.